and welcome back to the channel. So it's May 18th. I'm planting some beans into some cover crop rye. We cut the rye off of here last summer, and then the landowner Frank turned around and took some of the rye and re-drilled it for a cover crop. And so far it's planting really nice into it. I like planting in it. And Frank has planted cover crops on this farm for years, and it's really increased the yields on it, especially this higher sand here. So we've been following the same farming practices that he's always used, and it's been working out real well for us. So I'm at the about 350 acre mark now for getting soybeans planted. I skipped a few farms. I didn't do video on them just because it was just so intermittent on being able to plant because of the rain and the storms that have come through. But I figured I better start another video. I tried to plant this field and I got about about a round over from the edge of the rye here and started having trouble. So I'm just gonna leave that. I got the field on the other side of the ditch, which is about 40 some acres over there. I got all that planted. I had a little trouble down in that corner, but the rest of the fields on this farm I think I'm going to be able to get over. So after I get this done, I'm going to go over about a half mile that way. There's a good sized field over there I'm going to plant, and then after that I'm going to head down to Francisville. I'm sorry, I'm gonna head down to Francisville and then come back to Madairyville. I got an 80 to plant there, and I got 200 and some acres down in Francisville to plant. So should be able to cover all that. So we'll see what happens. So let's keep going. We'll get some video along the way and see what we can get done. It was kind of interesting planting in this rye. It kind of reminds me of the way that they mow fancy lawns. When you look at it, it looks like it's striped because of going one way and then going the other way. It's kind of cool. And it's pretty soft. The seed bed's pretty soft. So it's definitely helped to keep the ground loose also. It's also building organic matter in this sand. So what I'll do is after I get this planted, I'll just come back and I'll spray this and kill the rye off, and then the beans will grow. That rye will kind of fall down around the beans and maybe shade the ground out just a little bit, maybe help with some later weed problems. I've always been told also that rye kind of puts off a natural herbicide and it keeps small weeds from growing, but there are some weeds out here growing other than the rye. So I don't know how true that is, but it's also planted pretty thin, so that might be part of it. Dad's getting quite a bit of corn planted. We done a lot of driving around this morning. That's why I'm getting a late start. We were looking for other fields that we could plant corn on, and a lot of fields have a lot of standing water on them yet, and there's really nothing we can do about it. There's no ditches close to some of it to try to trench it off. There's a lot of water laying where we've never had water lay before. So just gonna have to kind of wait it out. Dad's gonna go plant some of my ground today. I've got the gravel pit field prepared, so he's gonna plant that. And then he planted a 13 acre piece that I have. We tried to no-till into that. It doesn't look too bad. Should be all right. He planted the other night around where where our new house and my shop's gonna be. And he asked me, he said, "Do you mind if I leave the tanker sit on your driveway overnight?" I said, "Hell, you can go back it into my shed or my shop if you want to." He said, "The roof's gonna leak a little bit." And he said, "You can even fold the planter up and back it into the house garage if you'd like, but there's no roof to keep it dry yet." He thought that was funny. I've got the down pressure springs set to the max down pressure on this planter. And I've been planting through some pretty heavy corn stalks with it, and I've been very impressed with the results. With the no-till holders on it, it cuts through really good. But with the no-till holders and being able to set the down pressure adjustment springs on each row, it cuts really good. With them spring adjustments at their tightest adjustment, which is the levers all the way back, you can see the little T handles in front of the yellow boxes. With them handles pulled all the way back, it puts 400 pounds of downward force on the parallel links of the row units, and that gives them that much more cutting ability. Plus, if you're having full soybeans, you get all that extra weight pushing down on them. So it's pretty aggressive, really. The only problem is, when you're running that much down pressure, you start getting into wet conditions, and the residue's kind of wet. The ground's wet underneath of it. It'll actually kind of start pushing the residue on top of the slick, wet ground. That can be kind of a problem. So occasionally I have issues with that. I could get out and I could back the down pressure off, but the problem is, once I get out of the low wet spots and start getting back into the high ground, then I'd have to go out and reset them. It would be nice to have the airbag downforce, and then I could adjust it all from the cab. But this works just fine. It's inexpensive. It's what comes with the planter. I've already got it. And on a normal year, it's not an issue. I set it, and then we're good. But this year, it's just been been wet. It just seems like every day by 3:30, it starts raining. And we're supposed to get severe storms this afternoon. That's why when I get this place done, go over and hit the other place at Frank's, and then I'm going to head to down there, probably to Francisville first. I've got to plant that 80 down there where the rear tire blew out on the 9650 John Deere combine. Kind of not looking forward to that farm because of that waterway that goes through the center of it. It's full of water right now, and it just isn't the friendliest thing to drag the planter through. So we'll see how that goes. I've actually not planted that farm before. Dad's the only one that's been on it so far planting. I did up another gear on the tractor and idled back because this tractor will pull this planter at 8 miles an hour at 1700 RPM with no problem. So I thought, well, might as well up a gear, throttle back, and save some fuel. But I'm still working on my same tank of fuel as I was when I started. Alright, I'm going to keep planting. We'll get some video later. So I was just out here minding my own business, planting along, and look out the back window over to this side, and like, something don't look right. My marker's missing. Well, one of my shear bolts broke and the marker swung back around behind the planter. I didn't hit nothing, it just fatigue over time. The shear bolts will eventually break, especially in no-till and in wet situations where the marker's dragging mud and stuff like that. So, pretty simple fix. Luckily I had some bolts in the truck. The nice thing about these markers on this planter that I really like is you can fold them even with them dragging behind the planter. They'll still fold up. As long as they don't get caught under the row unit, they will fold up. And most of the time they swing back part way around. So, as you can see, they break away like that. They just swing them back like so. There's a little nub that they go up on. Have to get up there and pull it back a little more. Well, planter's sitting a little leaning forward right now. So that's all they do. There we go. Hold it, put a bolt in. Oh. So I actually went ahead and sat the planter down so it wouldn't swing forward while I was trying to get the bolt back in. So all it is just this plate here. Bolt goes through this plate, through this nub here. You put a nut on the back side. Pretty simple. Let's see. Goes in like that. Get your nut started on the back side. Rock it a little bit. There it is. It's a burr in that little plate. There it's going. Where'd my wrench go? Huh. Oh, here it is. Hold the nut. Tighten it up. Well, I need to get those new plates or make some new ones because this one's in pretty bad shape. A lot of strain on it, especially when you're going pretty fast and over rough ground and all that good stuff. I'm getting it. I'd say at one point this casting on the marker was probably nice and true and straight, and from this wearing on it, it's probably got it all chewed out, because that should fit tight in there and it don't anymore. I really don't know how many acres this poor planter's been over. Probably been over quite a few in its day. There we go. It's pretty darn tight. Well, it's still not drawing that up like I want it to. There we go. Nothing beats a mid-torque Milwaukee 3/8 drive impact. Alright, so we got moved to one of the lower fields on this farm, and there is muck in this field. And you've heard me talk a lot about hauling sand into the muck to firm it up. Now, this is a perfect example of that. We did that to this farm a couple of years ago, and it's really changed things for farming it. So watch as I go through here. Got our alternate markers because I need the other one. So we're going to go past a ditch down here. It's a finger ditch that comes into this field from the main ditch. And it's all muck around it, and it was very soft. got a little water standing. Well, look at that. I went right through it, no problem. That is the benefits to hauling sand down to muck and mixing it in. Makes a huge difference. If that didn't have that sand in there, I would have spun through that, the planter wouldn't have planted, and I would have had no chance at all of getting some beans in it. But now I have let's say 95% chance that that's going to dry out and then beans are going to grow just fine. So definitely worth the time doing that. That was a very good example of it. Go down there and we'll make another round. We'll go right along the ditch. Well, I've actually got one pass along the ditch, but that was the marker that I needed. But I'll show you how far it is. No problem at all. We're getting it planted. You can actually see the sand. It grew beautiful corn last fall or last year, and we harvested beautiful corn. Definitely worth it. I got a little overlap there. That's all right. See, supports the planter. It's a little soft, you can tell, but the planter's not breaking through that sand. And the sand layer's thin enough that as soon as the crop starts to grow, it gets its roots down through it and back into the good muck ground underneath of it. I'm gonna finish up these ends. Makes it kind of odd shaped. This is one thing I like about this planter is you can go around curves with it with no problems. It does a really nice job. Covers the beans, no issues. Up a little bit along this ditch. Got a little crooked. Alright, I'm going to keep playing and get this planted. Well, we're on the other side of the ditch, and on this side we didn't haul any sand. It's usually not wet on this side, so that's why we didn't mess with it. But it's proving that we're going to need to do something with it. So I'll show you the difference. When we get there. I'm going to take it kind of slow because we're at the end of the ditch here. I'll have to raise my marker up. this is tiled. As you can see. Yep, that's no good. So that's as much as I'm going to be able to plant there, which there's not really a whole lot. Just this kind of little rectangle area right here. But that's the difference between sand and no sand in the muck. Makes a huge difference. So we'll go around that. We'll go over to some more high ground, get that planted. And then I'll come back later. Probably bring the 8650 in the disc out those tracks, and just spot all them in, because I got a few other spots I need to spot in. Then beans will catch up over time. By fall harvest, they'll be mature with the rest. No big deal. Well, let's go along this ditch and see if we can get it planted. This might get a little ugly, so hang on. Put some sand on this side. Ah, it feels nice on this side. Oh yeah, not a problem. The planter up just a little bit, so it takes a little weight off the row units. But I don't want to take too much off. Yeah, got off that sand. Get some more sand hauled in there. Do that this fall. We got a sand hill we can take it from. In fact, right there, yeah, you can see that sand hill over there. Get some more out of that, haul down in there. Francisville. Quite a few birds out today. Got some vultures there. Seen a couple pheasants. Seen a bunch of turkeys today so far. A lot of deer out today too. Sunday. I started this video yesterday on Saturday. We got down here this morning, got a good start. conditions are right. There's no wet spots. Usually what's wet is these low swales through here, but they're all pretty nice. I mean, you can tell they're a little moist, but not to the point where you cut tracks or anything. So it's going to be a pretty good day of planting today. I've got 2 boxes of beans in the seed tender. So as soon as this number of beans runs out, I need to readjust my bean meters for seed size. And then I'll fill the planter, and I'll be able to fill it full this time. I've been only filling it about half full just because of the wet conditions and soft conditions. Keep it light so I can get out if I get hung up. So down here I'll be able to fill it all the way to the top. So less fills down here for sure. So let's see what we can get done today. So what we'll probably do after I get done here, since this is going to be the last of my big chunks of acres that I have to plant, is we'll take this planter back to like Frank's or somewhere safe, and we'll unhook it, and then I'll run home and I'll get probably the soil finisher and the crumbler and put behind this tractor, and then we'll switch to doing some tillage work ahead of the corn planter. Because the rest of Frank's farm that we left is probably a good week away if we get some good drying weather. So I'll be able to go back to that later, fill all that in, and finish that one big field. But until then, we need to get some corn acres worked. We tried doing a little no-till with the planter. It works just fine in real light corn stalks on the sand, but you get into the heavier ground and then it starts to cause issues. So we're just going to go ahead and work the rest of everything and just make a nice seed bed. Well, I haven't been making very much video because nothing exciting has really been happening. Things have been pretty much running flawlessly. I got all that planted, and this is about all I got left over to that ditch right there. So things are going good. Planter's working good. Madison brought me some kind of pulled pork she made in the crock pot. Made a sandwich out of it. That was really good. So far this Sunday, everything's been really good. I'd like to get the rest of this field done yet today, and the one on the other side of the ditch done. And then I can move to the 80-acre farm with the little ditch through the center that you have to drive through. I think I'll make it there today. We'll see what happens. If not, I'll go there tomorrow, because I will need more beans. I don't have enough with me. Good Monday morning. Yeah, as good as it can be expected for a Monday morning. So we're going to head over to the Maderryville farms. There's 80 acres there I'm going to plant. I finished up the last of what I had to plant here in Francisville this morning. So we're going to head over there and see what we can get done. Get those done, and then I'm done planting beans for a while. Get to switch back to some tillage work. So let's see what we can get done. Hopefully we can get done there and back home and get the soil finisher hooked up. Well, we made it to the Maderryville farm. I'm working on planting the ends right now, and I'll show you what I mean by planting through a ditch. If this is just considered a waterway or it was a ditch at one time and they just kind of tapered it all out so you could farm through it. Well, it's definitely got water in it. And it runs through the neighbor's field also across the road. Here it is. Go right through it. The first pass was a little deeper. 3-acre fields here that make 80. I want to try to get these done today because there's rain in the forecast. It's supposed to be raining by 5 p.m. tonight. So I'd like to get this knocked out. Gonna see if Sarah from M&R Ag Service will bring me out some more soybeans, since they're not too far from here. Should be no problem. She said when I'm down here she'll bring them to me. It's nice when you got a seed dealer that's willing to do that. Especially when you're this far from home. Got alternate markers. There we go. We're good to go. This farm's got a wet spot on it also. I'm gonna have to go around it and come back later. Gonna be a video of nothing but going back and forth planting wet spots. Nice thing is though, I have not been stuck yet this year. There's that ditch again. It's not so deep through there. Across this field. Alright, I'll get some video later on. Well, we got to plant through the ditch again. This spot's really deep. I don't know if the video will do it much justice. Take it kind of slow. Oh yeah, right through. That's pretty close to where it goes through under the road. To the neighbors. I don't know where it actually ends up going. Looks like it keeps going across the neighbor's field. I don't know if you want to call it a ditch or just an extremely deep waterway. Down to my last 20 acres. It's been an interesting afternoon. I've been back to the truck more than I wanted to be, fixing stuff. I sheared another marker bolt, and that was a pain to get the broken piece out because they should have made a hole through the toolbar where you can drive it on through the holder and into the inside the toolbar to get it out. And then I had a chain run off because the corn stalk got in it, one of the seed drive chains, to one of the boxes, not one of the main ones. So I only lost one row. I caught it right away on the monitor. And then number 4 row unit quit driving. So I had to make a little sacrifice there. I had to sacrifice my pocket pry bar to finish up this farm. So right now the success of finishing up this last field is dedicated to a $4.50 Amazon pocket pry bar. Hopefully I don't lose it. If I don't lose it, then I won't sacrifice it. But if I lose it, oh well, if I get this finished up. So the reason I had to use my pry bar was because the row unit got loose, or the seed meter got loose in the box, and it was cocking and not meshing properly with the seed drive, so it wouldn't turn it. So what I done was I wedged my pocket pry bar in between the poly box and the seed meter and got it to straighten out, since I couldn't tighten it anymore with it being stripped, and it got it just straight enough that it's staying driving. So we'll see what happens. Looks like we got a lot of rain coming. Well, that's not a good thing, but hopefully we'll be done by then. We'll see what happens. I did wrap some tile tape around the meter to try to hold my pocket pry bar, so if it did pop out of there, I'd be able to retrieve it. But hey, it's only $4.50, and I lose it, big deal. But it's one of them deals. I've carried it now for about 2 years, and I hate to lose the little guy, even though I have spares back at the shop. That one just fits just so nice in my pocket because it's just worn all the right ways and it don't poke me in the leg. Probably one of the handiest tools I carry. I never imagined that I'd need a pocket pry bar as much as I do now. I use it for everything. I'm lost without it. I highly recommend any guys that do any kind of mechanical work or anything that involves mechanical stuff. I know it sounds stupid, but get you a pocket pry bar. You will thank me 100 times over. Things are handy as can be. Now you're going to say, well, I carry a pocket screwdriver. Well, I'll tell you what, I use my pocket pry bar more than I've used my pocket screwdriver. Close that plier up just a little more. It's nice because the pocket pry bar's got that little angle to it at the end, so it works real good for different things, like getting electrical connectors popped apart and things like that. Alright, that's enough about the pocket pry bar. Alright, I'm going to keep blending and see if I can get this done. Well, this last 80 acres is done, except for a few small wet patches on it. I don't know if they're even worth coming back for, but I did beat the storm. You can see the storm over there, it's coming. I've been hearing some alerts on the radio for the last half hour. Sounds like it's got some pretty wild winds in it, like 60-mile-an-hour winds and stuff like that. It's a little bit of hail, quite a bit of rain, but I got everything planted, so I'm happy. Fun fact, that building right there, that's where our air seeder was at when we bought it. I had to bring the 4955 all the way over here and pull it back home. So anyways, I'm gonna head to the next farm, and well, not the farm I'm gonna plant, but a place where I'm gonna leave my planter. Oh, there was some lightning. me get the planter unhooked, and I'm gonna run home with the tractor and get the soil finisher. And then when things dry out, I'll go plant that last 50 acres that I got to plant. And then beans will be officially done. I can't say they're officially done right now until I get the wet spots planted and that last 50 that's too wet. So once we get them done, then I can officially say that I'm done. But up until this point, I'm done for now. So, all right, I'm gonna go set my cylinder stops for going down the road, and then get to where we're going, and we'll get this planter unhooked, and we'll head back to the shop for the day. The storm looks a little serious the closer I get to it. Heading right into it. Mom's gonna pick me up and take me back to Maderryville for my truck. Oh, starting to get some rain on the windshield. Driving right into it. Hopefully it doesn't rain a whole lot and it'll dry up by the time we get done working corn ground. We'll see what happens. Oh, my favorite part of the adventure is coming up. Going through the trees down here. Windshield wiper's not the greatest. There must be a film on the windshield. This is my favorite part, going through these trees. Like a tunnel of trees. I think they're arborvitaes. Saying there's a film on the windshield kind of reminded me of a story. One time my grandma and grandpa took me down to southern Indiana, and we were supposed to go to an Indian reservation in Madison, Indiana. Well, we get down there and the only Indians we seen were the ones that were in charge of the Motel 8 that we stayed at. But anyways, Grandma misread. The Indians were in Madison, Wisconsin, not Madison, Indiana. But anyways, they had this festival down there. It was a good time. I bought a blowgun and I was shooting out lights in the lobby at the Motel 8. But that's all for another time of story. The story I'm getting at is the film on the windshield. We were driving down there and it started to rain like this, you know, and the windshield wipers weren't doing the best job. Grandma's like, Ed, there's a film on the windshield. We need to stop and get some Coca-Cola and dump on it. My grandpa's like, no, we're not doing that. She's like, yes, we are. Yes, we are, Ed. So we stopped at the gas station, and she goes in and gets a 2-liter bottle of Coke and proceeds to dump it all over the windshield of her Ford Explorer. And all it did was make a sticky mess. They're trying to use bath towels to wipe it off. And 10-year-old me walks over and grabs the little squeegee thing out of the little bucket thing with window cleaner in it and scrubs it all off. And needless to say, the Coca-Cola did not take the film off the windshield. I think if anything, the little squeegee with the windshield washer actually helped the most, because I scrubbed on it quite a bit and got it cleaned off. But yeah, don't dump Coca-Cola on the windshield on a hot summer day, because it'll do nothing but make it sticky. Oh, let's see if my wiper will wipe now. Oh, that's a little better. I need to get a new wiper blade, but usually I'm not planting in the rain, so I don't really need a windshield wiper all that much. But this year I should have put a new wiper blade on, because I've been using it quite a bit. Alright, we're almost to where we're going. Well, I didn't quite get to end this video the way I wanted to. I ended up taking the tractor to the next farm where I'm going to unhook the planter. Mom texted me on my way there, and she's like, do you want me to just come pick you up? Because she said it's storming really bad back home, and I don't think you should drive the tractor through the storm to get it home. I said, yep, you're right. That's a good idea. Let's just leave the tractor here. So she picked me up, went back to Madairyville, got my truck and the seed tender, and I brought it home. So I'm going to go home for the night. I'll go ahead and just edit this video up, and we'll start again tomorrow. We'll go get the tractor, get the planter unhooked, and we'll get the soil finisher hooked up to it. And then when it dries off, as you can see, we got quite a bit of rain. When it dries off, we'll get back at it. Oh, look, there's Wilson. Evening, Wilson. How are you? Yeah, doing good? The 220 is fixed. The Hardings came out and they put a complete left-hand joystick in it, or pilot control, the whole thing. And that solved my thumb issue. So now I can use my thumb switch to move the thumb like I'm supposed to. I might end up taking this over to my new place and using it to clear some trees because there's some fill dirt I want to get. Because it is not full of sand and gravel, it's just sand, so I want to use that. I don't want to use the stuff that I run through the trommel, so I'll probably use this to clear that off and then bring the old 690 over to load it out. And then ooh, look at that lightning. So anyways, I'm not going to use the 690 for the entire project, just use it for the dirt moving, but we'll be using the 220 a little bit. So it's fixed, ready to go. So thank you for watching. Greatly appreciate it. We'll see you all in the next one.